So, you're thinking about a career in tech, but where do you even start? It can feel like this huge, confusing maze of buzzwords and job titles. Well, today, we're going to try and fix that. We're going to use the guide from OneExpert's website to draw you a clear map of this world and turn that maze into a path. Let's jump in. Our guide for this journey is a website called Tejavir. It was built by an expert who's really passionate about sharing what they've learned with people just starting out. You can kind of get their whole vibe from this quote, right? Their mission is to make tech less intimidating, and that's exactly what we're going to do with their material today.
I mean, have you ever looked at a list of tech jobs and just felt your head spin? Web development, data science, cybersecurity, AI, mobile apps, it just goes on and on. If you felt that, you are definitely not alone. That exact feeling is what we're here to tackle. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're taking all these different fields from the Tejavir site, and we're going to group them into, let's call them 3 big continents on our tech map. By the end, you'll see how they all connect, and more importantly, where you might see yourself fitting in.
All right, first stop on our map. We're calling this area Building the Digital Experience. These are the roles that are all about creating the stuff we actually see and touch every single day. The apps on your phone, the websites you browse, the games you play. They're the architects and the builders of our digital world.
The site lays out a few key players here, and you've probably heard of most of them. You've got your web and mobile app developers, the UX designers who make things easy and fun to use, and then the software and game engineers who build really complex systems. And then you've got the full stack developer, who's kind of like the jack of all trades. Okay, this is a great way to understand that full stack term. Think of it like a restaurant. The front end is the dining room. It's the decor, the menu you're holding, the whole vibe the customer experiences. The back end, that's the kitchen. It's the chaos, the ovens, the databases of ingredients that make it all run. So a full stack developer is someone who can design that beautiful dining room and run the kitchen. They get the whole picture.
All right, let's travel to the next continent on our map. This one is all about harnessing the power of data. So if our first group of people builds the thing, this next group is all about making that thing smart. These are the jobs focused on gathering up information, figuring out what it means, and using it to make better decisions.
And what's really interesting here is that the source doesn't just list the obvious stuff. Yeah, of course, you've got data science and AI. But look, it also includes digital marketing and even human resources. It just goes to show you that these days, almost every field is becoming a data field.
This table is awesome for clearing up the confusion between these 3 big terms. Because let's be honest, they get thrown around a lot. Here's a simple way to think about it. Data science is like being a detective, finding the story in the data. Big data is about having the heavy-duty tools to sort through a mountain of clues. And AI? That's like building a robot detective that can learn and find the stories all by itself. They're related, but they're definitely not the same job.
Okay, time for our final destination. We've seen the apps people use, and we've seen the data that makes them smart. Now we're going deep into the unseen engine, the absolute foundation that holds everything else up. This is the infrastructure, the security, the plumbing that makes it all possible. This is literally the bedrock. You just can't have an app without the cloud to run it on. You can't have data without cybersecurity to protect it from bad actors. And DevOps, that's the practice that helps teams build and ship everything faster and more reliably. And then you see the future taking shape with IoT, robotics, and blockchain.
This timeline from the site tells such a cool story about how technology builds on itself. You can see the logic, right? First, in the late 90s, we get the cloud. What's the very next thing you need? You've got to secure it. Boom, cybersecurity becomes a huge deal. Then, we need to build on the cloud faster and better. Hello, DevOps. And now, we're exploring totally new ideas about trust with things like blockchain. It's a natural progression. So, we've mapped out the big continents, right? But what's wild is that inside each of those areas, there are these super deep, specialized rabbit holes you can go down. The source gives us a little taste of what that looks like with a specific programming concept. It's a bit advanced, but it's a great example.
It's called aspect-oriented programming. Okay, what on earth does that mean? Well, think about it like this. Imagine you need to add a new security lock to every single door in a giant office building. Instead of going to each door one by one, AOP is like a master system that lets you apply that new lock to all doors at once, without touching each individual door. It's a super efficient way to handle things that affect the whole system. And it's the kind of thing that separates a good developer from a great one.
All right, so you have the map. You're maybe even getting an idea of which continent you want to explore. The next logical question is, how do you get there? How do you learn the skills? Let's use the benchmarks on the Tajveer site as a kind of checklist for what you should be looking for in any course or program.
When you're going to invest your time, and especially your money, into a program, you should be looking for real, measurable results. It's got to be about more than just getting a certificate to hang on the wall. So what should you be asking about?
Let's start with the bottom line, because for most of us, it's about getting a job. A top-tier program should be totally transparent about its job placement rate. The site we're looking at, for instance, claims 99%. Now, whether the real number is 80, 90, or 99%, the point is, it's a number they should be able to give you. It proves they're focused on the same outcome you are.
But listen, a high job placement rate doesn't just magically happen. It's the result of an entire support system. This chart shows what that ecosystem looks like. Are students actually happy with the course? Are the instructors legit experts who've worked in the field? Do you get real one-on-one time with a mentor? And maybe the most important bit, are you going to build real-world projects that you can actually put in a portfolio to show an employer? That whole package is what leads to success. So let's zoom out and bring it all home. Look, the tech world is huge, it's complicated, it's always changing. We get it. But hopefully, by putting it into a framework like this, by organizing it into these different continents based on what people actually do, it starts to feel a lot less like a tangled mess and a lot more like a map you can actually read.
And this quote from our source, Tajveer, really says it all, doesn't it? It's all about empowerment. It's about giving you the information you need so you can go out and succeed. And that's really what we wanted to do here today, too.
So we've laid it all out. You've got the map. You've seen the world of building user experiences, the world of data and intelligence, and the deep infrastructure that holds it all together. The only question left is, where do you want to explore first?